welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another Sunday chat. I forgot I moved this. I've been doing some rearranging in my apartment. I moved this floor lamp right here and it is all up in the shot. Anyway, we'll turn the camera this way. Now you have a little bit of my sleeping area in the background, but that's fine. You know, it's the bed is made. It's pretty neat back there, so y'all can take a glimpse. Normally I have the camera turned this way because the bed ain't made. Anyway, welcome back to another Sunday chat. It is Saturday, I'm sorry, May 17th. It's the day before I go see Beyonce. I'm so excited. I actually have on a little bit of makeup. My brows all filled in. I did a photo shoot this morning. So it was sort of an at-home chill vibes, Pinterest style type photo shoot. And so the outfit that I'm wearing right now, that photo shoot is what prompted today's topic. I was like, what am I going to talk about for Sunday chat? And then me and the person that was photographing me, we were having a conversation after the photo shoot, and I was like, oh, that would be perfect, right? Anyway, this is one of the looks that I took a photo in. I'll like do a cutaway so you can see the actual outfit, but it's a very Angela outfit. It's something that I feel extremely comfortable in, and her and I were talking about like personal style and things like that. She follows me on social media, but we actually met like years ago, like right before the pandemic. She started following me, and this was before when I started to like try to post intentionally online in a content type way. And she started following me then, and we reconnected. We would just talk online, and she's a photographer. She used to live here in Chicago. She now lives back where she's from, which is Detroit, and she's in grad school and just all of this stuff or whatever. But we've worked together before. If I can find some of the pictures, I will put them in on the side. I think maybe my banner picture or something on here is still one of the pictures that we took together before, like during the pandemic. So we did it like outside. Anyway, so she reached out to me again, just kind of wanted to expand her portfolio. She does a lot of like wedding photography and stuff like that, but obviously she wants to get into lifestyle and stuff. And so she put together a Pinterest board of like just some like at home lattice to line, some Sade, some Eartha Kitt, you know, just like at home vibes. So anyway, the outfit that I have on, I wore that, so just like jeans and a t-shirt, and then we did just kind of like a gown, and this is really what sparked the conversation, so we'll get there in a minute. Then we did sort of this like she had this image of Eartha Kitt on her Pinterest board, and she wanted to like recreate it obviously in a way that'll work in my space. Y'all don't have a small space, so we were in here really trying to work with these barely 4 walls that I have in here. When she came in, she was like, and we hadn't talked about that. We really just talked about maybe like a casual outfit like I have on, and then a pajama, like a lounge set. So we did that first. She was like, do you have anything like a dress that could recreate this? And then I was able to pull out I've only ever made one purchase off of Fashion Nova, and I bought 2 things from that one purchase. I was going to a church gala, and I wanted to give like super sophisticated and classy, but like edgy. So I remember saying, ooh, I want to give Whitney Houston's character in Waiting to Exhale on New Year's Eve when she had on that brown satin slip dress. So I remember Googling brown satin slip dress, and a brown satin slip dress, exactly what I was looking for, came up on Fashion Nova of all places. And then I grabbed like a lace bodysuit, which I also still have and I also still wear. That's the only purchase I've ever made from Fashion Nova, and I still have both of those pieces. If you have a good eye for stuff, I don't care where you buy it from, it'll last you, because you won't just go buy, you know, I can't vouch for like the quality, but it lasts me because it works in my wardrobe in different ways, and I don't wear it like super often, but it's there for when I need it, like today. And so then we did the dress. Anyway, so after the photo shoot, we were talking about like personal style and stuff, and she was talking about how like she was trying to find her personal style. And I also had this conversation in one of the podcast episodes that I recorded last week when I was in Atlanta for my podcast that's coming out called Write This Down, co-hosted by myself and one of my college mates. His name is Marcus. We talk about everything on the podcast. So we'll be talking about, you know, trending topics, but we'll also be giving our thoughts of views and opinions and all that type of stuff on just lifestyle things. That's what we both really have in common. And so we'll be doing these episodes where we do like vibe checks and stuff like that. And then we have one episode specifically around like personal style and like how we, you know, define our style and how we dress ourselves and like what it means to us and how that works within our lives and stuff like that. And I was also having this conversation about personal style because, you know, in the episode we were defining like what personal style is in general to us, like what's our definition of it, and then what's our personal style, right? And in what ways do we define our style, and you know what we're wearing every day. What's the message? What are we trying to convey? Because we know that personal style is conversation, right? It's nonverbal conversation, but it's conversation. It's how you communicate to people who you are, what your interests are, like what your lifestyle is, right? And I'm not talking about labels. I'm not saying if you have on Gucci, people automatically know that you have money. But like if people see me three times, I'm likely going to have on a comfortable shoe. That's because I live in Chicago. I don't drive. I do a lot of walking, right? So that's what I mean by like it telling about your lifestyle. And so she and I were just talking, and she was talking about like having a difficult, you know, time figuring out like what her personal style is. And so she finds that, you know, she'd be doing a lot of shopping when there's a sale, because there's a sale. And so now she has like a bunch of stuff in her closet that isn't really cohesive. She doesn't necessarily know if it's like her personal style, so she's trying to like retrain herself to shop for things that she likes. And so, you know, I was just telling her, I was like, you know, I was just having this conversation on the podcast where I feel like, you know, the operative word of like personal style is personal. And this isn't groundbreaking. You've heard people say that before, right? Your personal style is a reflection of you, your interests, your hobbies, your lifestyle, right? And I'm talking about all the way down to things that are practical. Why would I run around and why would I spend the bulk of my money or time buying heels when I wouldn't wear them often? I have heels, yes, but the bulk of the time that you see me buying shoes, there's some sort of like low profile sneaker, a flat, a general sneaker, you know, or some, you know, something that's comfortable that I can walk around in, because that's practical, right? For me personally, I used to always be a heel girl. I loved heels. I still love heels. Like I love them, but it's just not practical for my life. And I don't think it ever will be again, because when I leave this place, I plan on going to somewhere else that's even more walkable. So like my challenge was to not change my style completely to try to fit my new environment. It was to figure out how my style fits in my new environment. So that's where you get the things like the funky flats, the Jill Sanders, the tabbies, you know, the Airifs that I just bought, because I want to make a statement with my shoes, but they cannot be a tall like statement heel. It's just not practical for me on a daily basis. So I was saying to her, I was saying on the podcast, I feel like people get the idea of like personal style and being fashionable, like they conflate the two, and it's not the same thing. One, being fashionable is subjective. Someone's personal style is not subjective, or like it's not, it's their personal style. So like your opinion on it does not matter. Now, can you have an opinion on whether it's like, you can't tell anybody that their personal style isn't personal to them, therefore it's not good. Now there are people that just absolutely don't care, and that's a difference. And I was talking to my co-host on the podcast, where I was like, I don't gel with people that are like that try to make me feel, because I am very in tune and very serious about my personal style and making sure that I'm maintaining that. Like I can't stand when people try to make it seem like it's unserious, because like I said, I think people conflate personal style and being fashionable, right? and just buying clothes and shopping, like that, they conflate the two. And so they make personal style unimportant. For me, it is very important, right? If I'm meeting a guy that I'm dating and he has no personal style, that means you have no point of view about yourself. If I saw you across the room, right? Or like let's say you sent me a drink from across the room. If I look at you and I can't tell anything about you based on what I see, because you just in, you know, some jeans and a t-shirt, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing else about you that sort of gives me an idea of the type of person that's sending something over to me, you know, then to me that is a lack of like point of view. Like people, I want to be able to look at somebody and be like, oh, he's probably, or he's, you know, or at the very least they have a great sense of style. I cannot understand it. It could not be my style. It could be like super colorful, or, you know, a bunch of patterns, or whatever the case may be. Not necessarily my style, but I would still look at that man and be like, he has a great personal style, or he has a sense of personal style. Maybe not great. I would still look at that man and say he has a personal style. It may not be like my personal preference, but the fact that he is over there put together in a way that I can very much see with my eyes, I may be interested in hearing what he has to say. So anyway, like I was saying, I was saying on the podcast, and to the person that was photographing me, is that, you know, I think people conflate the two. And I think that the important thing is having a personal, know what works for you, having your personal point of view. Whether you're fashionable or not is going to be subjective, and it's going to be subjective by person. Not everybody is going to find your personal style fashionable, but we don't care about that. We care about looking good and feeling good in our clothes to us, and that what we're putting on every day is conveying the things that it's putting out the perception, right, that I want to put out based on how I dress. And I gave this analogy in the podcast where I was like, you know, I think that my personal style and what I'm trying to communicate through my personal style, which is very much a casual, but like an elevated casual style, right? So like it may be a funky silhouette, whether it's shoes, pants, a shirt. It may be, you know, a interesting design or something like that on it. And I find, and to the naked eye, it may just look like a t-shirt and some jeans, right? But when you get up close on it, the hem is asymmetrical, or there's some sort of like cutout, or, you know, there's this like, there's shoulder pads, there's an oversized silhouette. There is something going on with this very like what appears to be casual and like laid back like style or point of view. But when you get on there, it's saying, when you get up close to it, when you get to know it, when you can see it close enough to like get into the details, it's much more to it. And I was like, I feel like that's very much a reflection of my personality and who I am. Like, for whatever reason, just on face value, I come off as very like serious to people, you know, very like buttoned up and quiet. And I get that. That's just kind of how like my face is. But when you get to know me, right, if you have a conversation with me, I'm very extroverted, I'm very outgoing. I'm always telling a joke. I always got a story for you, right? So there's more to it when you get up. There's more to me, just like my personal style. When you get up close to it and you get to talking to it and you get into the details of it, you're like, oh, this girl isn't serious at all. I mean, I'm serious about a lot of things, but like in general, she's funny, she's fun, you know, she has a story to tell, she has personality. And so I think my personal style is a perfect reflection of who I am, and that's what I feel like people should be trying to get at when they are getting dressed in the morning. Something else that I mentioned in the conversation I was having this morning is that if you pay close attention to when I get dressed, like on an everyday basis, just like the outfits that I post on an everyday basis, when I post them, because I don't do a lot of like OOTD content anymore. But when I do post my content, or when I do post a picture of me like leaving the house in my stories, if you notice, my outfits pretty much have the same formula. Like my personal style is what it is. It just may be in a different font, right? It may just be in a different font, and so it looks different to people. But it's pretty much the same thing. And I'm not a outfit, like I don't what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm stuttering. It's not a capsule wardrobe. I don't subscribe to like that thing, but I just know what looks good on me. I know, you know, what works. I know how to mix and match and, you know, make the same but different pieces look different. They're pretty much same. Even when it comes to like special occasion outfits, like if you pay attention to like my birthday dresses or, you know, stuff like that, they're pretty much the same, just in a different font. I know what looks good on me. I know what makes me feel good, what I feel sexy in, what I feel, you know, I just know, and I don't really veer off from that, right? I don't personally think that my style is that groundbreaking, right? But I do think that people tend to gravitate to it because it's such a specific point of view, right? It's such a specific point of view. It's going to be consistent. If I don't give you nothing else, I'm gonna give you a consistent, good outfit. But it's like, it's not groundbreaking, but people like it. And I think it's more because it's like I said before, it is a perfect reflection of the person that they have gotten to know, even if it's just through, you know, their phones or the computer or whatever the case may be. But I think people just enjoy a good point of view. So when people ask me like, how do I build my own personal style? I'm like, baby, you gotta know your person. Like, you gotta know your person, right? Before you can communicate that through the way that you dress. I also said in the podcast, I'm like, I am the type of person that doesn't have I didn't get like a tangible artistic talent, right? I can't draw. I mean, I can sing, but you know, that's one of those things where if you don't exercise that muscle, it get weak. So, you know, I can sing I should be using that loosely. If you would have called me younger Angela, I would blow your muffin cap back with a no, okay? This Angela, I can, you know, whoop de whoop, do do do, but not to, like, I wouldn't prop up my phone and be trying to sing on the internet like people do, like, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, I didn't get like a super like art like that definitive like artistic talent where I could just like pick something up and draw, or, you know, sculpt something, or like this innate or inherent like artistic of, and I love art, right? And so also putting myself together in the way that I want to present through my clothing is a way that I can have some sort of like creative expression. Creative is a better word than like artistic, because there are many ways to be like tangibly creative, right? And so this is another way that I get to play around with being creative. And so, like I said, I think it's about getting to know your person. And when I say getting to know your person, I'm really talking about like that creative like avenue. I'm talking about your hobbies, your interests, your lifestyle in general, your environment. I'm talking about being inspired by those things, right? I don't think you necessarily have to like incorporate your heart and emotions into your person. I don't think it's that serious, right? But I do think that if you're a person that enjoys art and music and, you know, books, and, you know, if you're a really active person, if you enjoy a particular like culture, or within reason and respectfully, when it comes to cultures that are not your own, right? We want to be inspired by it. We don't want to appropriate. But you use that type of stuff to help you get dressed in the morning, right? You want to be a reflection of the things that you're interested in, right? So when you meet new people and you're in conversation with them, and they're like, what are you interested in, right? And you say, I love art, I love music, I love, you know, I love the theater, right? You may have on something like I've had conversations where I've been like, someone has been like, oh, what are you interested in? I'm like, oh, I love music, I love art, I love the theater. Like, one of my favorite things to do is go just, you know, bump around a gallery or a museum, or, you know, I love to read, you know, that type of stuff. And then I've had somebody say, I can tell, like, no offense. I'm like, no offense taken. He's like, no, just looking at how you are dressed, and, you know, like, I can, like, that makes sense. right? And so for me, that is what I'm trying to portray. Like, that was the ultimate. This person is talking about, no offense, right? But I'm like, no, I'm not offended at all. Like, that is the biggest compliment that you could have ever given me, right? Because that means that my thoughts, my ideals, how I approach, how I get dressed in the morning, and how I tell people when they ask my opinion on it, how I tell people to go about defining their own personal style actually works. Because you just sat here and said, I can tell that, like, you didn't even have to open your mouth and say that these are the things that you're interested in. I can tell by how you're presenting to me. And for me, that was such a big fucking compliment, okay? So anyway, I say all of that to say, you have to get to know your person, right? Or you don't have to. It is my suggestion to spend some time getting to know your person and then trying to communicate that out to people. And I guarantee you, well, I can't, let me not say guarantee. Let me not say guarantee. But I think by my own personal experience that it would be really helpful in you defining your personal style. I really do. And I think that same style threads through your entire life. Like, what I wear, I'm getting ready to go, and one of my really close friends here in Chicago, her niece is going to prom today. So I'm going to go and watch her prom send off. I would wear this same thing, probably with a pair of trousers and a low profile sneaker. So probably my Morgilla replicas or something like that to work. I would also wear this same outfit with these denim jeans on a date with a heeled mule. Like, my personal style is the same through. I don't have different wardrobes. I have a wardrobe that works for my entire lifestyle. Sorry. And then also the last thing that I want to say before I wrap up is, like I said, my personal style is pretty much consistent, right? It's like I got on a different variation of the same thing, to be quite honest. But I think that's okay, right? I think that's how people become familiar with your style. I have people sending me links all the time on the internet saying, I saw this reminded me of you. Like, literally, people that follow me on the internet, my friends, like, people can easily say, I saw this shirt, I saw these sunglasses, I saw this bag, and I thought Angela, right? That's how you get people to be, I mean, if you care, right? To be familiar with who you are through your personal style. Reheating your own nachos. Reheat your own nachos, right? You know what works on you. You know what looks good on you. You know what get the people going. Find different ways to wear the same thing because you know it look good on you, right? That's my philosophy. Anyway, I just really wanted to talk about that because this morning, just, you know, being in a space, watching her be creative with photography and then getting to play around with my space, right? And, you know, her saying, we didn't talk about this, but do you have like a dress that we could, and me being able to go to my closet and pull out a dress and have a thing for something in the moment, like, that was really inspiring of me to me. And like I said, being able to use my space, certain spaces with the different outfits that I was like, okay, we can use my bed for this, we could use, you know, my bench for this, we can use the kitchenette area. Like, all of that was like really inspiring, and I was like, I have to talk about this in Sunday chat because I'm inspired, and hopefully it'll inspire the people. It'll inspire the people. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I am going to actually get out of here. I'm going to hit my friend up and see if she's already at her sister's house, because she is a esthetician and makeup artist on the side, because she has another career as well, but she is licensed and credentialed. She also has a teaching certification, so when she retires from her, you know, corporate situation, she's going into like full, like, I have some dope friends. Anyway, so she's doing her niece's makeup, and I want to be there for the whole thing, you know, so I might want to grab a bottle of wine or something, take it over there and just sit with them the whole time. So I'm gonna actually see if she's already over there, and then I'm gonna hop in an Uber and head out. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know if y'all liked this video. let's talk about personal style in the comments. Like, do you agree or agree differently with me? Do you have a different perspective on personal style? Did I enlighten you in any way in this conversation? Let me know. Let's have the chat, and I will talk to y'all in next week's video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all of the things, and you're following me across socials. I've been doing really good with posting across platforms, so make sure you are following me across platforms. And I will talk to y'all in next week's video. I just got a notification that I got a package. It must be some PR because I ordered nothing. Anyway, I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.